Well, hello there. You have made it to cmcstamps.com, which stands for Color Me Crazy with Trisha Williams. And I look like this today because I got to go do some yoga. If any of you guys know my story, maybe here's a little update for you. And if you have never heard my story at all, here's a start. Another reason I haven't been posting to YouTube for a while, I just wanted to explain that. Make sure that all my followers understood while I was out for a while. So long story short, I first got sick about 20 years ago with just asthma. And I was a runner. I started to run and they just said I had athletic induced asthma, and then it turned into a little bit of acid reflux, and then I did a surgery and they took out my gallbladder. They said it was super inflamed, and no one knows why, because all the tests came back like normal right before the surgery. They're like, you don't have any gallbladder stones or anything. So anyways, they took this diseased, crazy gallbladder out that was 3 times the size it should have been. And then I go on to work as a nurse and run in college and all these kinds of things. And more experiences bring more and more of these weird symptoms. And some of these symptoms were strange. I had terrible asthma, and it wasn't just athletic. After a while, it was just all the time. And then I had inflamed stomach from eating. Then they diagnosed me with IBS, which means I don't know what the heck you have or what's wrong with you. So my stomach would just get big like I was pregnant. And anyways, I worked at a hospital as a operating room nurse. I loved it. It was like organized chaos. I just ran around. I loved trying to decide what the doctor would need. And it was a very active job because you run to the supply room and back into the OR room, and you just have something new every surgery, every surgeon, every patient. So while I loved that job, I was so sick, I was going to the ER like all the time. And it was weird stuff. Like, I would just explain it like sometimes my legs just wouldn't like respond to my brain. I'd say move legs and they would just go really slow, like as if I was pulling them out of this thick, deep mud, and I couldn't move. It was very bizarre. It happened especially during races. I'd be hanging out in the front pack, just loving it, feeling that feeling of my heart beating, my breath just in and out of my lungs, and just my legs just flying. And then all of a sudden, it's like something like a switch, and I just couldn't move them. And people would be lapping me, and I felt like I was just running backwards. So some of you know this story, but I just feel it's important to share it. And I am thinking about writing a book because so many people have said, Trisha, you need to write a book. So here I am, just being my authentic self to you guys. And I know that it's hard to do that, but I feel that it's important. So this is why I've been absent for a long time, because fast forwarding back to my story, when I worked as a nurse, I was able to do it for 3 years. I was just going to the ER like crazy. And they would just always say, you're fine, your asthma's controlled, nothing's wrong with you. So finally, I got chronic hives, and some of you would say, oh, that stinks, but it's the only way that they finally diagnosed my first illness, which is just an immune system illness, and it's rare, meaning it's just so new. They haven't really fully researched it yet, and it's called mast cell activation disorder. And it is an immune system illness, like I said, and it basically means my mast cells are just overly turned on. They're just reacting to everything. They're overreactive. So I now take a monthly shot to treat it, and it's helped quite a bit with the anaphylactic, like my throat closing, getting crazy hives in my mouth, hives all over my body, terrible stomach problems, and the asthma. So that's helped. Now almost a year of that treatment, and I'm doing better. But some of my other symptoms, I always thought, is this part of mast cell? I mean, this crushing chronic fatigue, days and months and years in bed, I just couldn't get up. I mean, this is coming from a ex-collegiate college runner, who ran a 4-minute, 46-second mile. And I was just like, why can't I get up and do things? And I had a couple falls, and I have 2 beautiful kids, you guys. One of them's gonna turn 2, and I have a 5-year-old boy. And I loved the pregnancies, except for my surgery. But the aftermath, like about 2 or 3 months after, I crashed so hard. Just that crushing fatigue, a little bit of depression. Couldn't move my legs. I mean, I was hobbling around. My husband was carrying me. I do not know why we didn't get a freaking wheelchair. But anyways, I guess my ex-runner part of me just was like, just be tough. And I didn't show it. I didn't talk about it. And if I did, people didn't understand. Those that were close to me know my story. I mean, for sure, they can tell it to you too. But then time goes on, and I had to get some care for my kids. That was heartbreaking. You know, I decided I wanted to be a full-time mom, and not only could I not work, but I couldn't be a mom. We had to pay a lot of money, and I didn't get to see my kids all day long, and oh, it was torture. I mean, torture. 5 years, you know, of living in darkness is how I would put it. Some of you guys know that I started this YouTube, you know, about, gosh, 3 years ago. I started a website, and I called it Color Me Crazy, and I just expressed myself through art, and I met all these cool people, and I was social. So that was kind of my saving grace. Now let's just go over the very last part real quick. The very last part is the most recent news. Is they have looked into multiple sclerosis. If you guys know what that is, it's shortened as MS. It is also an immune system illness, and specifically it's an autoimmune illness. And this is my nursing background that I can explain this to you. And it's a neurological, it affects not just your brain, but your spinal cord, your legs, your movement of your arms. So it affects how you can move your body, okay? It affects chronic pain, chronic fatigue. It creates a little bit of depression, which I've started to experience over the last year. It also can affect how well you control, like, you know, your bodily functions. I just thought that was being pregnant twice, that I couldn't really hold my urine very well. And I've had a total of 3 major falls where my legs just, there was no reason, my legs just completely gave out, and I just fell, and I was in pain. And it also affects your eyesight and vision changes. So the scary thing is, I was crafting for about 40 minutes. I went partially blind. I'm almost fully blind. I just saw a bubble right in my front of my vision, and I could only see peripheral, so the outside of my vision. And I got a headache, and my eyes felt pressure and pain in them, and I thought, oh crap, you know, this is a major symptom of MS or something like it. So I got to the doctor, and we did another second whole scans of MRIs, and they came back negative. So the next step is, I still might have MS or something like it, like I said. The next step is a waiting game again. I wait to get into the neurologist, and that's just in July, so middle of July. And then we come up with a game plan, and most likely that game plan is a lumbar puncture, and they're going to check my cerebral spinal fluid for a certain protein. And I will let you guys know right away if I have multiple sclerosis. And I will jump into every single cause I can, and I invite you to support the research that's being done. They're able to, oh, I'm going to get emotional. They're starting to be able to actually reverse some of the permanent damage that some people are experiencing, and prevent some of the damages that are occurring. And I do have some permanent weakness in both my left arm and left leg, and the vision changes have gotten a little worse over the last couple months. I just have moments where I'm driving and I think, is it unsafe? Can I drive? Because I can't see very well. I just remember the first time I couldn't see, I thought I just need to go to the doctor, because I've always had beyond 20/20 vision. I thought maybe I'm just getting old. I'm 36. Maybe my eyes are getting old and I should get them checked. I'm pretty sure it's linked to this second illness, whatever it is, the mystery illness. Let's just say it could be MS. But I'm going to let you guys know. So I had to give you this update to let you know why I just was not around. I mean, I've been in bed. I've been in doctor's appointments. I've been spending time with my kids. every second my legs will let me move. So I don't mean to make you emotional, because to tell you the truth, it makes me emotional. But I really just meant to share my story, and maybe just to uplift you, let you know you're not alone. Whatever you go through is for your good. You know, you're gonna grow. And give yourself credit for what you've been through. And maybe just give me a pass for not being very good at my YouTube. But I'm gonna start working on that soon, and I'll update you on this mystery illness. Anyways, if you want to check out my website anytime, please do. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you on my team. We're called the Glitter Gang, and it's cmcstamps.com. Stands for Color Me Crazy. I appreciate you guys stopping in today and listening to my story. It was nice to tell it. I think it's healing for me. So thanks for coming. We'll see you later. Bye.